Hi guys, so I just wanted to jump on here. Do you hear that thunder? It's crazy. I just wanted to jump on here because I've been getting so many messages the past couple of days, and then today especially, about my dog and how he ran away, how he got home, how's he doing, like, you know, just an outpouring of love. And, you know, I was going to jump on my Instagram stories, but it's only like 15 seconds and it would be 1,000 stories. So I figure if you're interested, you can grab some popcorn, grab a snack, sit down, and we'll have like a story time. And if you're not, then you don't have to watch. But, you know, I wanted to make sure that I filled everyone in because, you know, people were so kind and so concerned. And then, you know, I also thought I wanted to pop this on YouTube simply because I feel like, you know, if you're going through, for me personally, I was like Googling lost dog, and, you know, there's tips out there, but I feel like there's nothing that was all in one place from someone who had gone through it. And so we learned so many things throughout this process that at the end of the video, I wanted to share what kind of worked. And then hopefully, you know, if you're in this awful situation when you're searching on YouTube, then maybe this will help you and bring you some comfort. So last Monday, a week ago today, our 8-year-old English Bulldog, his name is Bodie, he decided that he was going to run away from home. And, you know, he had actually ran away the week before and was found about 24 hours later in the neighborhood across from us. You know, he's never gotten out before, but we had to actually foster another relative's dog. And I think that that really just like threw off his world. He didn't know what to do. He was scared. He was upset. And so I think that was part of the reason that he decided to take off. But you know what? Dogs don't talk. So honestly, we'll never know. It's just my best guess. But anyway, so he ran away before, came back. We found him 24 hours later. This time it was 6 full days before we actually found him again. And what happened this time was he got out, you know, we posted all over the place. Finally, yesterday, we got a phone call from this wonderful woman, and she said that I found your dog. He's near a highway. There's like a 4-lane highway kind of near where we live. And she said, you know, I tried to get him in, but he wouldn't come to me. And so I think he took off into the woods, but I'll stay here. I'll stay on the phone with you and I'll wait here and I'll show you where he went. And we were like, oh my God, thank you. Like, she's just such a sweet, wonderful woman. She said that her daughter found a flyer that we had put up that morning, got my cell phone number, and that's how she was able to call us. Her daughter was 14. So we meet up with this lady, we're walking towards where the woods is, and she was like kind of pointing us in the direction of where Bodie went, and she missed a curb onto the sidewalk, and unfortunately her foot got stuck. Her ankle snapped and she fell down to the floor, and the bone was protruding out of her ankle. I mean, it was just like such a horrific injury. And bless her heart, even while she was lying on the sidewalk, you know, my mom was there. She was a nurse. She's a nurse, so she was able to do all of the right things. But you know, even while she was laying on the floor, she goes, I was just trying to do something nice. I just wanted to help you find your dog. Are you still going to be able to find him? And it's like, oh my God, like, don't worry about that. Like, this is more important right now. So she was so sweet. I was like comforting her daughter. I had 911 on the other line. And so finally the paramedics showed up. They were able to give her pain medicine right there on the sidewalk and sort of calm the situation down and get her off to the hospital. But, you know, it really goes to show that it's an awful thing that happened to her, and I can't imagine what she's going through right now, but to have such an amazing heart to stop everything that you're doing for the day in order to try to help somebody else with their animal, and even while you're in this horrible situation, not worrying about yourself is just, you know, this woman is incredibly selfless and such a good Samaritan, and we won't be able to thank her enough for that. So, you know, bless her and her family. They know who they are. We've been in contact with them, and so she'll be able to have surgery soon in order to put everything back into place. But in the meantime, we had caused such a scene in this woman's neighborhood that the neighbors came out. They were wondering what was going on. So we kind of explained to them. We said, I think my dog is in the neighborhood behind your house. And this lady's like, oh, no problem. I've got an entrance in my backyard. And come to find out, the entrance was like her chain link fence had fallen down and you just had to jump over it in order to get into the woods. There's no like trail. It wasn't like a hiking path. Like, this is woods nobody should be in. But at that point we were like, we're gonna find this dog. So she actually went back into the woods with us. We're like going through like the brush and we could hear him barking, but we just couldn't figure out where it was coming from. And probably after an hour of searching, we decided it was getting really dark outside. It was starting to thunder and lightning. It hadn't rained yet, but you know that feeling where it's like, oh my God, a really bad storm is coming. We thought, you know, we just need to get ourselves inside at this point. We've got to get to safety, and that's a priority right now. So as soon as we were walking back up the hill in order to get back onto the sidewalk, my dad and my friend Emily, they turned around and they were like, there's Bodie. And sure enough, there was like this creek that was in the woods, and he had found his way there in order to get, you know, a source of water. And he took off back into the woods, and come to find out, he was just trying to find a way to get around the creek to get to us. But my dad and I thought he had just taken off again, and we were like, oh no, like, we're going to get you. So my dad and I take off running into the woods. I'm wearing shorts and flip-flops because I had given my mom my tennis shoes. And so I've got all these scratches over my legs. You know, I mean, we're talking like overgrown, trying to get through, you know, and can't see where you're going. It was the most insane thing. And my dad and I at some point got separated, and he actually fell. And I hear him screaming, but I can't get to him because I can't find anything, you know. It was just so dark and overgrown. And so eventually he gets back up, and my mom said, don't worry, I got him. He found a way to get around the creek and just walked right up to my mom. And so, you know, bless his heart, he was bleeding from his private parts, and he's all scratched up and got blisters on his face, blisters on his paws. But, you know, from the most part, we were able to tell that, like, he's okay, you know, like, or he's going to be okay. So we were able to, at the moment that he came up to my mom, it starts downpouring. So, I mean, this is something out of a movie. We're like taking this injured animal out of the woods. It's pouring down rain. Like, you honestly can't even make this stuff up. So, you know, my friend Emily swung the car around. We were able to get blankets, put him in the back seat, and get him home and cleaned up. And so since then, it's probably been, I don't know, about 24 hours. And he went to the vet this morning. He's going to have some antibiotics and creams and, you know, all that good stuff. But I think that he's going to be okay. And it was such an experience from start to finish. And, you know, I had a lot of people that were like, oh, he's just a dog, like, he'll be fine. Or I had a bunch of people say, oh, I know he'll come home. But they don't always come home. And, you know, to be out there in the woods for 6 days, you know, I know that they get really instinctual, but still, you know, God forbid he was hit by a car or an animal or something like that. So we're just so blessed. And even the vet was like, it looks like he's been camping on someone's couch for 5 days and only in the woods for 1, because, you know, he could have been much worse off. So we're just so blessed and so thankful for that. Now, I truly hope that you never have to be in this kind of situation, but if you are, I just wanted to offer some words of encouragement and some things that we did that I hope will help you as well. The first thing that we did was we posted on the Nextdoor app. If you go to the App Store, you can download it. You can type in your address, and it is connecting you with people who are in surrounding neighborhoods to where you are, which was super helpful for us because people who, you know, find lost dogs post on there. There was a woman who cited him earlier in the week, which was kind of like a lead for us. So I would definitely post on there and keep an eye out on your Nextdoor app, because it's basically just one big community for neighbors. Another pretty obvious one is to share on social media, particularly Facebook. There are a lot of groups. One thing that you have to keep in mind is to look at your city, your county, and your state lost pet pages, because there are a lot of them out there, and you want to make sure that you're covering all of your bases, posting in there. We would kind of repost it every couple of days just to keep it at the top of the list. Another thing that I did was do a sponsored boosted Facebook post, because you can actually target certain counties and certain zip codes. So I typed in my parents' zip code. I was able to blast out a Facebook post that got over like 800 shares on there. So if you think of 800 people and then all of their friends, it was blasted out to a lot of people in our city. I also went ahead and posted on Craigslist. This one kind of backfired a little bit for me, although a lot of people do post found animals on there, so keep an eye on that site. But for me, I actually got contacted by a scammer because your phone number is connected to your Craigslist posting. So, you know, I woke up on Sunday morning and I had a text saying I found a male, white, with brown spots, English bulldog, you know, in this city. And I was like, oh my God. So I tell my parents, I was like, we found him. And I'm texting back and forth. And the person was like, if you know, I got to email you the photos to confirm that it's him. And turns out whenever you open up the email, it links you back to another Craigslist posting, basically wanting money for your dog. So it's a scam. They obviously actually don't have your animal. And it's just terrible to know that there are people out there like that. A couple of places you can check in person are the SPCA, the Humane Society, any shelters in your area. Also, a lot of those places direct you to the pound. Any animals that come in, they'll redirect to the county pound. And it's quite a process, at least for me it was, to sign in. You have to have somebody escort you through every single kennel you're checking. You know, they do have online postings, at least in our county they do. They'll put they'll put animals, you know, put photos of them on their website with a little bit of a description of the animals that they have taken in. However, they did say that it's not 100%. If they can't get a good photo of the animal, or if the animal is too injured, they won't take the photo and put it online. So they recommend coming in either every day or every other day, which is what we did, to go see in person if they found your animal. One thing that's really important for the pound and SPCA and the vet clinics to be able to identify your animal is for it to be chipped. So our dog was chipped the first time, but what we didn't realize is that you actually have to register your contact information and connect it to their chip. So even though last time somebody brought him into the vet and they knew that this was somebody's pet, they had no way of contacting us because we didn't realize that there was another step in the process. So make sure that if your animal is chipped, it is linked to your cell phone number, or else really none of it matters. And the other thing that we looked into is, you know, if you have an escape artist of an animal, there are GPS collars out there. They tend to be a little bit bulky. They're a little bit pricey. So I don't know if it's something that we're gonna do like permanently, but if you're going away on vacation, or if like this guy tends to go back to back in a couple of weeks escaping, they do have such thing as a GPS collar. Finally, I think the most important thing that we did was the old school flyers. Just putting out something with their photo, missing, lost dog, your contact information, where they were last seen, and plastering the city. I mean, that's ultimately what brought him home to us, and it happens a lot. For the ones that we put outside, we got those plastic sleeve protectors. We put it in there and we just taped it to, you know, any kind of front of the neighborhood. If there's a community mailbox, if there's a gate, you know, with a keypad on there, plaster it up there. We slid, you know, other ones into people's mailboxes, and then any sort of community local place. We went to the local gas station, Publix. We went to a couple of restaurants in the area that were nearby and handed them flyers, asking them if they won't put it in the front of the store, ask them to at least put it like in the back if there's a staff area, because a lot of times people live in that area where they work, and so at least they'll be able to see it. The other thing that we did that I think was super helpful in this instance was plastering photos on fences or walls or telephone poles where people walk their dogs. So obviously if somebody is walking their dog, they're a pet lover, they're more likely to be able to help you out in this kind of situation, but also they're walking that area back and forth probably every day, so at least they can keep an eye out. And I really do think that that's what helped us in this scenario. Finally, if you have any police officers, mailmen, mailwomen, FedEx drivers, people that are service areas, your garbage collectors, anybody who's driving that area frequently, make sure to just hand them a flyer, ask them to keep it in the van. If, you know, they happen to spot it, at least that they'll have their phone number to be able to contact you. Finally, I know this sounds completely crazy, but there is such thing as a pet detective. I I know it sounds completely ridiculous, but a lot of people consider pets their family, and so you're kind of willing to go to sort of extremes in order to get them back. I'm going to put the information here because I just thought it was really kind of funny. There was a success story from someone who messaged me on Instagram saying, you know, my dog was lost in Winter Garden for like, you know, I don't know, 2 weeks or something, turned up in Georgia, and this woman was able to get it back. So, I mean, it does happen. I don't know the prices. I don't know anything more than that. And, you know, it wasn't something that I had quite gotten into just yet, but it was an option that was in the back of my mind. The last sort of tip that I would recommend is keeping some blankets and maybe some water and treats and a leash in your car, just in case when you find your pet, you're able to, you know, try to either lure them to you if they're scared, or maybe just tag the leash on them so you can make sure that they're with you. You know, for us, it was completely pouring down rain. Bodie was soaked, he was shaking, he was cold, so we were able to wrap him in those blankets on the way home, which I think really helped. Finally, God forbid you are in this kind of situation, just some positive words of encouragement. I was doing some research and I was reading that there is a statistic. They did a study that showed 93% of dogs are reunited with their owners after they are lost. So even though, you know, you might just feel completely heartbroken and scared and worried, that was a little bit of encouragement in the back of my mind. I know I was a total mess last week, and, you know, it was one of those things where you're obviously assuming the worst and you're thinking the worst. The unknown is the scariest place to be. The other thing that I found encouraging is that most animals are found within half a mile of their home. So even though it might feel like they could be anywhere in the entire city and it's very overwhelming, you know, if you narrow that search and concentrate it to within half a mile of your home, more often than not, they're just not that far away. Finally, you know, it's easy to see the negative and feel the negative energy and the awful people in the world, but I just want people to know that there are good people out there. You know, we spoke to the woman who is suffering with a broken ankle. She's going to have surgery, and, you know, she's doing a lot better now. She's on some pain medication, so we wish her a full recovery, but if not for her, we wouldn't be able to bring him home. So it's just, you know, it was a selfless act, and even as she was laying there on the floor, you know, she was so concerned about him. So it just reminds me that there are some beautiful, kind, good Samaritans out there, and that is a little bit comforting in the time that we're in. Also, thank you to all of you, everyone who, you know, was offering words of encouragement and advice and sharing Facebook posts and on Instagram and, you know, texting, calling their friends. And I can't thank you enough. It really has helped me get through the past couple of days. So thank you so much. Any updates, I'll be sure to update you. But for now, I appreciate everything from you guys, and I'm gonna go sleep for like a week. See you next time.